Hello and welcome to the Smooth End of the Pineapple podcast. We haven't been podcasting for a little while. Just taking a break after the record-breaking numbers the previous podcast edition racked up, which is like hardly any. So anyway, we've just been doing a whole lot of other stuff, just personally, and of course the whole bloody pandemic business has been on and all that kind of stuff too. But anyway, now, just to bring you up to speed on what we're doing, I had an idea a couple of weeks ago, just popped into my head. These things just tend to pop into my head for a screenplay. And I wrote a treatment and I sent it to Matt, and I'm at my computer now just trying to bring up the treatment. And Matt really liked it as well, and I can see Matt playing the lead role. So it's for a feature film. We're always tossing around feature film ideas, and we've had two really good ones. One we've set back in the Gold Rush, and I've probably written about, 15 pages of it or something. It's really funny, but, period, budget, those kind of issues. Then another one, which is actually, it's kind of funny because I'm studying ornithology myself, but about these two funny guys doing bird watching. And I just haven't had too many more ideas on that, but I've kind of got a premise, but not too much of a story with it. But this one is the whole deal. And so I've called it 10 Letters. And what I'll do, I wrote the treatment, let me see, it's probably about 2 weeks ago. Let me just have a look at the date on this document. 6th of June, today's the 30th, 24 days ago, so 3 and a bit weeks ago. So I won't say anything else, I'll just read out the actual treatment, and that will give you an idea of it, okay, of what we're planning. So I'm always trying to think about what's doable, what can be achieved on a low budget within our means and that kind of thing. And this is what I came up with. So this is the first draft of the treatment for a screenplay called 10 Letters. Okay. George Gerard is a happy-go-lucky arsehole. Charming and good-looking, he's having too much fun in his own world to be considerate of others. Think Bill Murray circa Groundhog Day or Scrooged. George works as a lawyer doing conveyancing work. He's frequently rude to his co-workers and careless to his clients, but his late father founded the firm and he has a job for life there, and everyone else just has to put up with him. In his private life, he lives alone. He has no wife or girlfriend and throws his dog poo over his neighbour's fence. He tells the local homeless guy to get a job every time he goes into his shopping centre, and he has no friends, but is thoroughly happy with his life. One day, George's boss, Michael, summons him into his office and gives him a new job. The firm has been engaged to settle a will, and George is in charge of carrying out the instructions. George mumbles and groans and then agrees to take it on, not really thinking about it. Michael hands him a bundle of 9 letters and then gives George the instructions. He has been instructed to hand-deliver 10 letters and to read them out to each person they are addressed to. George looks at the bundle and reads out the names. Those simple things like Jenny Jones, who was in grade 6 at Southport Primary, 1982. Oh, this is pathetic, George says, and starts to laugh and mock the letters and reads out some more of the descriptions and says, "You can't be serious." This is going to make us a lot of money, Michael replies. George then realises he's only been given 9 letters. The 10th is only to be delivered after the other 9, Michael explains. "Oh, of course," George says cynically, and then looks at the letters. "Well, this will be a break from checking easements on house sales, I suppose." George then starts finding the people on the letters and hand-delivering them. We see the primary school girlfriend, the high school bully, the best mate he lost touch with, the school teacher who inspired him. With each letter George delivers and reads out, we find more and more out about the deceased and the life he went through. George's cynicism starts to wane a little, and he starts to be touched by each person he meets and the relationship the deceased had with them. The arc of the man's life is being played out before him, before George, from love and joy to his whole life unravelling. After a whole lot of events as George tries to deliver the letters, including many comical ones, George finally gets to letter 9 and realises it is the manager of the shopping centre. George makes his way in, meets the manager, and then makes a quip that at least the homeless guy's finally moved on. George opens the letter and starts to read it out. The person is thanking the manager for all the kindness he has shown him, and as it goes on, George realises the deceased is the homeless man. George walks out afterwards and looks at the spot the homeless person was sitting in, and then makes his way back to the office. He meets Michael and tells him he's delivered the 9 letters. Michael then hands him the 10th. George looks at it. It is addressed George Gerard. George looks at it quietly and then walks out. We see him having dinner quietly by himself with the letter on the table in front of him, still unopened. George can't bring himself to open it and tries to go about life as normal. He becomes moody and quiet, and people at work start to notice and comment on it behind his back. George is aware of this and eventually decides to read the letter. He pulls it out from his desk drawer and starts to read it. The letter explains that once the homeless man knew George was a lawyer, he knew he wanted him to be the one to deliver the letters, because he thought doing that would help George to not make the same mistakes in life that he had himself. George slowly puts the letter down, full of emotion. He looks around at people in the office he's been rude to. We see a sequence of George making amends to various people he has upset in the film. Finally, we see him walking into the shopping centre. There is a new homeless person sitting down near the entrance. George stops and looks at him, then sits down next to him and starts talking to him. We can tell by his body language that George is trying to take him somewhere to help him. Fade out as they get up together and credits start to roll. Credit roll at the end features still shots of George now doing fun and stupid things with others. So that's it. I don't think I read it very well. So that's it. The meat of it, of course, is in the 9 letters. So each one of them is almost like a little scene, or not a little film. It's a little scene in itself. And the good thing is we can almost film this film chronologically, actually, which is really cool, because we'll obviously end up doing it over weekends. Excuse me. So that's the idea, and Matt would be perfect for it. I thought about doing it myself, and then I thought, it's too hard doing that and directing and producing and everything, and Matt would be just a better cast. He'd do the part much better than I would anyway, regardless of, if I was doing those other roles as well. So it's just perfect for him. So I sent that to him. He read it. He loved it. His wife read it, shared it to a few people. She loved it. They all loved it. So what we decided to do, it's now June 2020. We're going to look at doing this at the end of 2021. So that gives us this year to get the script sorted and next year to get the production sorted. One thing that I've got to do is I made what my wife Jenny and I call the napkin agreement after I did Honeysuckle Way. It was pretty hard, put a stress on us, me being away and that kind of thing. So I said I'd never do another film unless I had a budget. So we're going to, try and raise money for this as well. Actually raise money for this as well. And we'll chart the course of doing it over these podcasts. Podcasts are fun to do. They're easy to do, a lot easier than filming something. So, like filming, I did those video updates with Honeysuckle Way. So all of this will just be podcast kind of audio updates. And I think so what we decided is we'll just write scenes and swap them around between each other and just try and improve on it. I think we both have a good understanding of the overall nature of the script and where it's going with the film. So we'll just collaborate on it. And one thing I do want to do, which I haven't done before, is I want to pay a couple $100 to get the script assessed by someone, just get a fresh set of eyes on it, get a professional to look at it. The key thing with this is getting the tone right and the balance right. It's got to be, he's got to be, not very nice, but we can't hate him. He's got to be kind of lovable, irascible but lovable, and so he turns into someone that we like, but he can never be too far away. He can never be so repulsive that we don't like him or don't want to go on the journey with him. So I guess the sooner, excuse me, we start to see him change, that will kind of give the audience a bit of faith that way as well. So that's where it's at now, and we did decide, Matt and I, just to start listing who we thought the letters should go to, and then we'd kind of compare our lists. And there's only, if you take out the last one, there's 9, but we could come up with more than 9 ideas. So I'm just looking on my phone here. I thought I did write a list of people, but I can't find it. I must have written it somewhere else. Darn it. Maybe I've emailed it to him. But I did write some notes, which I sent to Matt as well. So bearing in mind, I had the idea 24 days ago. So that was on the 6th. And about a week later, I wrote these notes, which I sent to Matt. And I'll just read through them now. 10 letters notes. Let's aim for 90 minutes and then see where it takes us. I think that's a good idea. And if you follow a certain kind of standard script layout, you get about 1 minute per page. So we're aiming for about 90 pages. 3-act structure, so 25% first act, 50%, 25%. Again, we just kind of aim for that, but see what happens. Using standard layout, 1 page of script equals 1 minute of screen time. So Act 1, 22.5 pages approx. Act 2, 45. Act 3, 22.5. Act 1, getting to know him, lovable arsehole component, irascible, etc. Just setting his character up. Does he have a love interest? And that's someone I thought too, after writing that treatment, something I thought that, well, maybe he could have a love interest. A woman who doesn't like him at the beginning, but as he changes, she starts to see that he is a good person. Does he have a love interest? Someone he's trying to impress, she doesn't like him, it's not working. Turning point is him. Okay, so turning point from Act 1 to Act 2 is him being asked in to deliver the letters. So we need about 22 pages before we get up to that point. Act 2, 9 letters delivered. This section will have more than just the letters, e.g. his reaction afterwards and general life as he starts to change. Some letter scenes long, others short, maybe average 4 pages each. 9 by 4 is 36 pages, and another 9 or so for scenes of him and not delivering the letters. So we're not going to stick rigidly to these time frames, or these page lengths, but it's important to kind of have them in there, because I read somewhere and I agree with it. Screenplay is structure, or story is structure. If the structure's right, but this is a funny thing, you've got to have the structure right, but if it's not propelled along naturally by the content, it just won't work, even though the structure will be right. So the structure's got to be right, but it's got to be propelled by the content. So what we do first is we try and loosely define it into the structure that we'll know will work, and then we let the content propel it along and change that structure as need be, but never too far away from the overall structure that's going to work. Okay, so the turning point going from Act 2 to Act 3 is him realising the author was the homeless man. So Act 3 eventually comes to read the 9th letter, changes, etc., and things he now does, maybe helping at a homeless shelter, and maybe the love interest wants to go out with him at the end. Okay, so some thoughts. Getting the tone right is critical for this film, and it's really good because, let's be honest, we've got a great kind of template or, working touchstone in some of Bill Murray's films, so that's, if in doubt, I just kind of go to think how would it work in that context. We could film almost all of this chronologically, which would be brilliant if we could do that, because that's the thing with low-budget filmmaking. You're stuck doing things on weekends or whenever, and keeping up, things even change over a couple of months. People are going to look different at the end of a 2-month shoot over the weekends rather than if you did over 2 weeks or something. So it'd be great if we did the whole thing chronologically. So let's aim for end of 2021 to film it. That will come quickly. So as you suggest, a good starting point would be to suggest letter recipients and how it affects him. Maybe if we each do a list of 10, then discuss or decide. And then I've got, for to have some real punch, 10th letter must be really critical of him and hurtful of things he did. E.g., I was looking at giving it one more shot, but you made me believe it wasn't worth it, before it gets uplifting. So, so it's got to be, there's really got to be some emotional punch in the end there. So we'll get that right when we do it. But at the moment, we're thinking mainly comic, and these 9 letters he delivers, some of these scenes can be really comical as well. So as long as it's kind of, the emotion's not too far from the surface. I just wish I knew where that my list of 10 characters was that I thought about. I'm going through my memo app on my phone at the moment. They're not in there. I wonder where I put them. Okay, well anyway, so that's where it's at the moment. So I need to find that list, add a bit more to it, and start the script, of course, and then start bouncing the script backwards and forwards between Matt and myself. So anyway, there you go. So this is our podcast back into action now. Keep listening, and we will And it's funny, with Matt down in Brisbane, me up here just not far from near Hampton, near Toowoomba. With phone and email and stuff, but doing the podcast, it'd be good if we could connect audio devices or something, talk together. But anyway, so to follow this film unfold, just keep listening and we'll post our podcast regularly. Okay, thanks for that. Hope you're all well, and more to come. Watch this space. Bye!